I'd like to address an issue, and I have written my comments, so I will be brief. Last Saturday morning, one of the members of the men's group asked me why council had decided to pull the charter from the August ballot. I was surprised and asked why he thought that. He replied from the front page article in Tuesday's Circleville Herald about canceling the information meeting and the mayor's letter. I reread the article and found that Stephen Collins had very accurately described the situation, and the article did not state the council would pull the charter from the August ballot. However, that said, I'm concerned about the Circleville citizens' understanding of the whole charter process. That's my men's group friend is an intelligent, logical, and well-read person. For that reason, I want to explain the process by which the charter was created. I'm quoting now from the Ohio Constitution, Article 18.08, submission of questions of election of charter commission approval. And the Ohio Constitution states, the legislative authority of any city or village made by 2/3 vote of its members and upon petition of 10% of the electors shall forthwith provide by ordinance for the submission to the electors of the question. And by the way, this was written in 1912. The question, shall a commission be chosen to frame a charter? The ordinance providing for the submission of such question shall require that it be submitted to the electors at the next regular municipal election, if one shall occur not less than 60 nor more than 120 days after its passage. Otherwise, it shall provide for the submission of the question at a special election to be called and held within the time question aforesaid. Aforesaid. Interesting. Excuse me, I digress. The ballot containing such question shall bear no party designation, and provision shall be made thereon for the election from the municipality at large of 15 electors, and shall constitute a commission to frame a charter, provided that a majority of the electors voting on such question shall have voted in the affirmative. Any charter so framed shall be submitted to the electors of the municipality, an election to be held at a time fixed by the Charter Commission and within 1 year from the date of its election. Provision for which shall be made by the legislative authority of the municipality. Insofar as not prescribed by general law. Not less than 30 days prior to such election, the clerk of the municipality shall mail a copy of the proposed charter to each elector whose name appears upon the poll or registration books of the last regular or general election held therein. If such proposed charter is approved by a majority of the electors voting therein, it shall become the charter of such a municipality at that time fixed therein. So as dictated by the Ohio Constitution, the Circleville City Council, in August 2021, during that election, it placed the question of establishing a charter commission and the election of 15 members of the commission on the ballot. The Circleville electors voted to establish the commission and selected the 15 members. On April 14th, the Circleville City Council accepted the charter as presented by the Charter Commission President. The City Council had a copy mailed within the required time frame to each Circleville elector who had voted in the previous election. And again, please note that this was submitted to council. We had no involvement, no input into the charter or its creation. And in August 2022, election has been placed on the ballot for the charter. So in summary, the Circleville City Council has followed the requirements of the State of Ohio Constitution as it applies to the approval of the city charter by its actions and within the time frame requested. The City Council A placed the question of establishing a charter commission and the election of 15 members on the ballot. Accepted the charter as written, mailed out copies. Has placed the charter on the August ballot. The Circleville electors approved establishing a charter commission, selected 15 electors to serve on the charter commission, and will determine in August if Circleville will become a charter city. That's the end of my written comments. The following comments are the document that is described in the mayor's letter is a document from council. It is not a document from a PAC. It is not a document from the commission. Number two, there was concern raised about the pages preceding the, here we are. Preceding page, I think number 3, where it starts with, after the table of contents, the preamble. Concern was raised about these 3 or 4 pages. Interestingly enough, in 2015, an identical 4 pages were here, and the top signature on page 1 was Mayor Don McElroy. So I'm a little concerned about the concern. And number 2, the concern about the charting the future was not PAC, that is commission. And to the best of my knowledge, Gary, is approved by you to put it on. So the concerns, I believe the mayor is misled. Thank you.
Any other council members' comments or questions? Karen?
Yes, I would like for the mayor to please speak to his allegations of misappropriations of taxpayers' funds to our resigning body.
Would you like me to do that now?
Well, when we're done with your questions to the elected officials, you can do that then. Any other reports or comments from council? All right. So next we're to the reports of city officials. We have the auditor, mayor, and law director as council's guests. Mark, do you have a report?
I do not.
Gary, do you have a report? Don, do you have a report?
I do. Thank
Okay.
you. I'd like to take this moment to introduce you to our safety director. Doug, would you stand up? Doug, the board joined us a couple of weeks ago. He is a citizen of Circleville. He went to high school at Zane Trace. He has degrees in criminal justice from Ohio State University and Ohio University. He has an adult daughter. He has a son that's a senior in high school. His wife's name is Carrie. They've been married approximately 29 years. He's had 29 years of law enforcement, mostly with Ohio State Highway Patrol. He has been an instructor for the Ohio State Highway Patrol Academy. He has been a public information officer for the Ohio State Highway Patrol Division in 2010, and eventually was the Portsmouth Patrol Post commander. So please join me in welcoming Doug DeWard to the city.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Is that all you have, Don?
That's all I have.
Great, thank you.
Waiting for the question.
At this time, there's an opportunity for council to ask questions to the elected officials here this evening. Karen, go right ahead.
Yes. In reading Mayor McElroy's letter that was used to misappropriate, that we had misappropriated funds, it was sent to us in an email earlier on Tuesday, and then it came out in the newspaper, I guess. He was using our hometown newspaper to allege improprieties from our city council. Now, I would like the mayor to elaborate on why he thinks we were in the wrong, which according to our state constitution, as Mr. Duval just laid out for you, we did nothing but follow the law. So I'd like to know what is murky here. And having said that, we could have gone over this last Tuesday night in the meeting that was supposed to have been held with our strategic planning committee to allow questions and answers be given for anyone, both positive and negative, for the charter and against the charter. It really didn't matter. We were going to answer your questions. But that was closed by legal counsel as per the mayor. So I would like the mayor to elaborate on his reasons for A, shutting down our meeting, and B, sending a letter to the editor and sending this letter to us alleging that we misused taxpayer funds in charting our future for the charter. Please.
Well-
I'll speak real quick. The mayor did not shut down the meeting.
Yeah, I think that's important.
That was not,
Oh, thank you.
that was not
I thought
accurate.
that,
No,
Can you
Okay,
say that
so-
again, please?
the mayor did not shut down the
Thank you.
meeting.
Thank you.
Um,
There's
so-
been a lot of.
It was on legal counsel.
There's been a lot.
but that
of-
was all legal counsel.
Yes.
There's been a lot of
Okay.
misinformation stated today about what I did. I was not prepared to talk about this today, and I was hoping that we wouldn't, but I'm extremely happy that it was brought up. I did meet with the president of council yesterday. I expressed my concerns to him. I did send you guys a document on July 2nd. I sent it to all elected officials in the city of Circleville. I also copied Matthew Nichols, who is with the Board of Elections. I copied him because the Secretary of State told me to contact the Board of Elections, Pickaway County. That's what I did. I sent this out July 12th. I heard back from Mr. Brady. Mr. Brady had a great comment. He said, probably the law director should look at this. I got a call from you, Councilperson Esterline.
No, you did not. You got an email
I
from
got an email from you that was absolutely wrong, and it was very, very rude.
Oh,
but-
well, let's say what it was.
I'm sorry, can I
Let's say
finish?
what it was. Sure, go
You
ahead.
asked me a question.
Yes.
Nobody's called me. Nobody on city council has called me to say, what did you mean by this? What are you thinking? I never had a chance to talk to anybody about this until I talked with Mr. Keller, president of council, yesterday afternoon. However, the response that you sent to me was not to elected officials. You sent it to two other individuals outside of what I sent. You sent one to Tom Springs and you sent
That's
one
right.
to Tom Kopak.
Kopak.
After that, it exploded. The world exploded. The mayor's an idiot, okay? Well, let's talk about this document, okay? On Saturday, I received a call from a citizen that said, I'd like to have coffee with you because I have a concern. I said, sure. So I went to the local coffee shop. He brought two other people with him. During that period of time, they pointed out some irregularities to me that I was not aware of. And they said, charting our future is not the city logo. They said, where is the city logo? If the city sent this document out, where is the city logo? I said, you know what? I didn't even understand it. I didn't even notice this. So that Sunday, the next day, I started looking at, and so what I did is the first thing I did is I looked at the ordinance that you folks passed on 419. In this ordinance, two areas, the question of the adoption of the proposed charter. Very important that you understand when I say proposed charter, because every document that we have received from the clerk of council, the proposed charter has always looked like this. It has been labeled the final copy of the charter. Every time we have received it, this is the final chapter. Charter starts with preamble. You guys did it. You accepted it. You accepted this on 419. It also goes on to say that the clerk of council is hereby directed to mail a copy of the proposed charter to each elector whose name appears on the ballot. Okay? We'll get back to that. This was what was passed. This was what I assume everyone was waiting for when this was sent out on June 2nd, this document. When the citizens who elected me and elected you pointed this out, I said, wait a minute, let's think about this for a minute. Charting our future is not the city of Circleville. Mr. Duvall, you pulled out the 2015 document, okay? And here's the 2015 document.
Yes, sir.
It says, sent from the city of Circleville.
How did the
okay?
first 4 pages look?
I'm sorry, I'm responding back, okay?
I just thought I'd clarify.
Okay. You open up the page and there is a letter from the elected officials of the city of Circleville and all of our signatures, okay? All of our signatures. You open up this document and you do not see a letter from the elected officials of the city of Circleville, and you do not see our signatures. The reason you don't see our signatures is that 2 of you folks did not sign it, nor did I sign it. And during the process discussion with you and the discussion with other people, it was because we do not want to send it out, because if they see the mayor did not sign it, it would be detrimental to us passing this charter. Is that a fair statement, council members? Is that
No.
a fair statement?
I can't speak to it.
I
No.
can speak to it.
Mary, you told me that.
I just know that the mayor or any elected official not 100% endorsing the document is the reason that signature page is not.
Who made the decision? Who made the decision to pull that page?
I'm sure the people, the charter commission that are preparing the document to be printed.
No. The
I'm sorry.
printed page.
Can I clarify a question? If the document that you're concerned about starts with the preamble, why do you care about that front page of endorsement? That shouldn't be there anyway, according to your position.
I'm getting to that,
Well,
Tom.
please do.
But I'm going back to this document that I sent you. Bear with me, because you've asked this. I was not prepared to talk about it today. But
Mayor, I'll be honest with you. My anger is I saw you say, I don't agree with it, but I'm not going to publicly oppose it. You lied to us.
Tom, be careful, because
Oh, no.
I remember the conversation
guest.
you had with me about this also, so be careful. My question was, where do the citizens of Circleville, this was what was said, where do the citizens of Circleville realize this came from the city of Circleville? If you look at the signs in the yards that say vote for the charter, down below it says paid for by charting our future. That concerned me, okay? Because it didn't come from the city of Circleville. It came from a PAC that is in favor of this document, okay? In favor. And if you read those pages, which we never saw, nobody in this room saw those pages until it was sent out to the voters. Nobody, okay? Nobody. So I looked at that and I said, boy, there's some irregularities there. How did this happen? And did anyone give approval for this to be done? Who made the approval for this? Was it done by ordinance? Was it done in committee? How was this given approval to get done? That was my concern. Now let me back up for a minute. I want to talk about the Charter Commission. They did their job. Okay, my concern is not with the Charter Commission. They did what they were supposed to do. They were empowered to put together a charter and present it to you guys. They presented it to you on 4/12, we read it, and then on 4/19, you guys adopted it by ordinance. And once you adopted it by ordinance, the Charter Commission ceased to exist. Is that correct? It ceased to exist for night. You accepted that document. Charter Commission ceased to exist. We thank them. We thank them in this body for their service. Okay. Now, if the Charter Commission ceased to exist on 4/19, how did they get on this page? A page, in my opinion, should have come from the elected officials of the city so people would know that this document came from them. How did this get printed, guys? Can anyone tell me how this was printed? Can anyone tell me? Can anyone up there, can anyone tell me how much this cost to print? Yes, how much?
$18,000.
Cost 18, yes.
I was going to say it's printed because required by law.
Yes.
Okay.
And it was led by the Charter Commission chairperson.
Where did it say by ordinance that the charter was going to print this document? By ordinance, it says that it's going to be taken care of by the clerk of court. A council clerk.
Clerk of
She's-
Council working with the Charter Commission president.
Where, Barry, where,
That document
you're asking me
created-
questions, I'm trying to answer your questions. Where did it allow a PAC? Where did council allow a PAC to put this together? What committee, what discussion, who allowed this to happen?
I think they were executing the requirement by law to
Who?
deliver that.
Who? It was your
Charter
document, Barry.
Commission.
It was your document, 4/19. It became your document in charge. The clerk of court had the document. She was the one she was to mail this out. Did you mail this out? No, she did not. It was mailed out. It was mailed out. Forrest, we would like Vista Print to print our booklet per the specifications listed below. Review and confirm that you have all the needed information. Circleville, Ohio Charter Booklet Specifications. Send 8,580 to voters' names and address provided in the Excel sheet. The gentleman that wrote this to the printer, who was Vistaprint, said, not you, clerk of council, you mail these out. A citizen now, there's no PAC, charter's gone. This is a citizen. Send 50 additional copies to me with no names, addresses on the back cover. Provide final cost to Mark Bidwell and to me. The cover page shall look like this. The remainder of the pages shall be a different uncoded. I don't have a right to come to you folks and raise a concern about this. If I can't do that as the mayor of this city and give these facts to you, you don't call me to say, what do you mean by this? Do not give me an opportunity to explain what I am until you do it in a council setting like this. You say, you're mad at me? I'm mad at you guys. You allowed somebody else to print this document without any authority. Without any authority. It should have been clerk of council doing it. Nobody gave anybody the authority to print this document. Now, this document here is not only a document that says what's in here, there is a mission statement. And the mission statement says, we aspire to create, design, and communicate a form of government that will empower the citizens of Circleville. They're telling you to vote for this. They're telling you to vote for this. Whoever mailed this out to our citizens, and it wasn't the city of Circleville, because you can't find our logo here anyplace. Karen, that is what I sent that email to you for, okay?
To clarify, the mayor didn't call us either, okay? So he never asked any questions via me, at least. Maybe he contacted Barry. I can't speak for others on this council, but I can speak for myself. He also did not reach out to me. And I want to give you my reply after reading what he sent, and you've all read it in the newspaper. I said, it is not the mayor's place or right to demand such a position, and I vehemently oppose such action from a separate branch of government. It's a separate branch of government. Get that mind you with that. The mayor is welcome to file a lawsuit if he deems it necessary. And now he walks in to our house across the street as a guest and says, I didn't call him, or no one else called him. Let's just clarify that.
I answered your questions. I was not prepared to even talk tonight. I'm here tonight as your guest. You asked me a question. I answered your question.
Don, thank you. I just want to go on the record to say, Don and I did meet for an hour yesterday to talk about that. He went over all those very topics that he just brought before council tonight. We left the meeting agreeing to disagree. Because I didn't see anything wrong with the booklet. I didn't see anything wrong with how it's distributed and when it was received. I thought it was a completion of the requirement by law to get that in the hands of the voters by the deadline, and that was accomplished. That was my position. He has a different position. We agreed to disagree. Katie, you have a question?
I have a question for the law director. So Gary, there has been discussion that you approved the logo, and honestly, that doesn't make any difference to me. But my question to you is, does the presence of the logo and the first 4 pages in this booklet invalidate the charter in any way?
First of all, the charting the future, the words themselves, I don't think cause a problem. However, at the time that question was presented to me, no one bothered to tell me that the committee was going to be named Charting Our Future, which was a little disturbing since this is not the place or time to be going into the pros and cons of the charter. Council's position should remain neutral. It should be an information session only. It's not a place to campaign for or against the charter.
Correct.
Everybody has their position and is welcome to vote that position. And really, this whole session, in my opinion, should be done at a high school auditorium or someplace outside city property, because the statutes prohibit us from spending money for or against the charter one way or the other.
And I couldn't agree more with that.
And that's the concern that I had last Tuesday in the first place. And it's not having the meeting, the education part of it's fine, but to present that either pro or con, whichever you want to refer to it, it's not the place or time. The last time we did this, it was done outside city property, and that's the concern I had. As far as the other pages, I think that's really a question that would be up to the Secretary of State's office as to what is wrong with it. I think it's probably more of an information thing. It's getting technicalities. To call it illegal, I wouldn't say it's illegal. Is it proper? I guess the biggest concern I have is, did it follow statute in sending out the documents? And if somebody besides the clerk sends it out, then that is a problem, because the statute clearly says the clerk is to do that, not some pack.
So I think there could be absolute discussion about that. As the mayor points out, we didn't send it. It's obvious you didn't send it. Obviously, a group of volunteers sent it. So what I guess I'm concerned about is, within this document is the actual charter, which I think we all agree to. So even though there's some additional pages and there's a logo that was put on that has this, that potentially could be misleading.
I think that whole issue is really, at this point, once it's submitted to the Board of Elections, it's really up to the Board of Elections to determine whether it
and according to the Board of Elections, it's up to council.
Yeah. And
so there's no issue going forward with this, is my question to you.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to clarify one thing. And I've talked about this, is we talked about a proposed charter. The ordinance talks about a proposed charter. That's not what's passed by the ordinance. That was not the preamble. The preamble was what was passed by ordinance. Those first pages were never passed by ordinance.
But you do agree that the actual charter is in that?
The actual charter is in here. But I also have to say this, Barry, is that I was asked by 3 members of council not to express my opinion. I said, I will honor that. I will only say something if someone asks me my opinion. And guys, I'm going to tell you, whether you want to believe this or not, probably only 8 people that I've talked to. Okay. I haven't talked to that many people because they haven't asked me. Okay. But I was asked not to, because they were afraid that if I went to the press and I said, I'm not in favor of this charter, that it would create a situation where some of the voters might say no. And I heard that from a member of the commission also. So just want to let you know that.
Yeah, and I'm one of those people that told him that in the name of civility, consensus, and credibility, as elected officials, not everybody got their way in the Charter Commission. Not everybody gets the way in ordinances and legislation that we consider. But once the vote is taken, with people with sound minds, having good conversations, coming up with a decision, you don't always win the votes. You move forward with consensus to give us all credibility. And I told him that. I said, I would ask that you not publicly speak against the charter. He doesn't like the draft of this charter that's being proposed to the citizens. I asked him not to do that. Hence, when we got the email, I was one of the people too who was very upset the email came out. I didn't respond to him. Some people did. We talked about the email last night, one-on-one in person, and we agreed to disagree.
I felt because citizens of Circleville asked me about this, I thought I should send that to you as a city council for your review of it and say, these are the thoughts, these are the facts that I came up with. I think probably what you guys looked at more than anything else is when I requested it to be pulled off the ballot. And I think that's what you focused everything on, and not really what the facts that led me to that decision to say that to you. So,
And that's a recommendation. It's not even an option, Don.
I just requested it.
It's in the hands of the voters.
Yeah.
There are people who have already
I
voted,
agree with that.
and it's not our privy to take it off the ballot. So I think that's what people got so upset when you made the request to take it off the ballot. That's very easily portrayed as a negative towards the charter. That's the way I took it. I think
But
a
I
lot of
only
people
sent it to you. I only sent it to elected officials.
I understand that.
You're the only ones that received it.
I understand that.
Okay,
It was shared with the media though, and that did not happen by council.
that was a public record.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a request for a public record. Okay.
Okay, any other
And
questions?
Understand that. That was a public record that was requested. Soon as that document went out, it became a public record. Okay.
And any other questions?
Can I just clarify that
Sure.
signature page? The mayor was also referring to the page before the preamble that in the former document that was sent out, it was signed by everyone on council. And he said there were 2 members of council that did not sign it, including then the mayor, and that's why it was not included. I was one of those people. And I explained to Mr. Kopak, I said, I support the charter. However, I believe it is a conflict of interest because it does involve my chamber, my branch of government, and where I sit. And I believe that's a conflict of interest. So I will not sign the document, but I do support if anyone wants to talk to me about it or ask me about it, and I'll tell them why. So there it is. I just want to clarify that so everyone knows why I did not sign it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions to the elected officials? Okay, that brings us to the people to address city council. So thank all of you for being here. We got a lot of people here this evening. First, I want to say it's all been brought up. City council did file the Ohio Constitution. The charter is on the ballot. The charter is being voted on today, clear up to election day, 2 weeks from today, and it is not coming off the ballot. There are multiple ways for you to gather information related to the charter, or if you have questions. There's an email at voteyescircleville@gmail.com. There's a Facebook page and a website that you can submit questions or get answers to your questions. Because of the opinion of the law director, tonight we will not take questions and answers related to the charter. He has opinion that that can't take place on a city piece of property, and that's where we're at tonight. But in addressing city council, I can't deny your right to come to the podium and speak and make a statement. So with that said, under our council rules for people, it's called audience participation, rule number 20, we can have up to 15 minutes per topic. One person can speak up to 5 minutes, and the clerk will keep track of the time, give you a 30-second warning, and then your time is up. All your comments will be recorded. And again, what would be best with all the people here, if there's someone that could speak for the group, that's best. But if not, we have 15 minutes. I've given this a lot of thought after talking to the mayor yesterday, talking to council members, talking to members of the public. We're going to allow 15 minutes for pro statements and 15 minutes for con statements. I don't care who goes first. Makes no difference to me. But I and the clerk will keep track of the time. And whoever wants to come to the podium first is more than welcome to come to the podium. You're allowed to make a statement related to the charter. Okay? That's the topic we're talking about right now is the charter. And I don't care who goes first. When you come to the podium, you give your name and your address for the clerk.
My name is Warner Searles. I live at 568 Spring Hollow Road here in Circleville. Thank you, Council President Keller, council members, and those in attendance tonight. The city of Circleville is a diamond in the rough and is full of treasure. Just walk or drive downtown during the year and observe closely how well appointed the buildings look. The murals are beautiful. The business establishments are friendly to their customers. The pumpkin show is the highlight of the year. The best little town around comes alive due to the help of all the caring citizens of Circleville. Many times in speaking with visitors at the pumpkin show, it's the highlight of their year visiting our community. Think about that. They enjoy the friendliness of all those helping at the show. Some people come out of state to visit here before going to the Hocking Hills for vacation. Visitors come from New York, surrounding states bordering Ohio, and yes, even California. Our city is a close-knit community that cares about others. We care and look out for our neighbors, the children, the elderly, the schools, and the businesses. Yet given all the good that we do for each other and the community, we are in jeopardy of losing this treasure of our city. The charter as written and presented during the middle of summer vacation is a sticking point with many of the city's voters. Our city has 3 branches of government: the executive, mayor's office, the legislative, the council, and the judicial, the courts, and that has worked well for 100+ years. Many citizens are opposed to the charter for the following valid reasons. Removes the executive powers of the mayor's office. Having this branch of government gives proper balance to keep the legislative branch, the council, in check. This needs to be kept in place. It also gives all citizens another voice in government through the mayor's office and the ballot box. It puts too much power in the hands of too few people at the legislative level. In addition, the city manager can be pressured to do exactly what council wants done. This concentration of power in one governing body, the council, can lead to many self-interest groups trying to vie for a vote of a council member or members. This needs to be kept in check. 3 branches of city government works best. The council members' terms would be 4-year terms instead of the current 2-year terms. Frankly, 2-year terms are more realistic. If a council person stays too long, they could become entrenched and not be as balanced and objective as they should be to represent all the citizens of Circleville. 2-year terms are used for the U.S. Congress. Administrative departments that would be appointed by the city manager at the direction of council. This again gives the city council too much concentration and control. Many city employees would lose their jobs. Many of them like coming to work and enjoy their jobs in this fair city. Is there anything wrong with keeping those employees? The city manager appoints directors of planning. Again, too much power with the city manager. Planning commission appointed by city council along with the board of zoning appeals. Council doesn't have the counterbalance of the executive branch of the mayor's office regarding these appointments in the proposed charter. Council has the ability to raise taxes not to exceed 5 mills without the vote of the electors. This is a taxation without representation. This is one of the founding reasons for the Revolutionary War that gave the 13 colonies freedom from the British Crown. Taxpayers don't want uncontrolled taxation from council. The current charter, as endorsed by the PAC and the council, is not acceptable. My recommendation is the charter should be voted on by the council tonight and be withdrawn by ordinance, and to notify the Board of Elections to remove it from the ballot. Speaking from experience, having lived under manager council city government for 17 years, it has caused a lot of uncontrolled growth that has caused many of Pickerington's residents to move out due to traffic congestion, overcrowded schools, and higher taxes. Does any of the council members want to live in Pickerington? That's what you will have in Circleville in 5 to 10 years. Frankly, all the citizens will long for the personable kind of city we enjoy now and will not be able to return to it if this charter is allowed to move forward. I respectfully request.
Mr. Chairman, you have 30 seconds.
Okay, thank you. I respectfully request to all the city council members to pull this charter packet from the Board of Elections and make improvements to it. The finished product should be one where all of the citizens of Circleville have productive input. Let's make it the best city charter in the great state of Ohio. Remember, it's in your hands to be protecting all of the citizens of Circleville by your action tonight in removing this charter from the ballot. The city council should be leading the movement.
Mr. Cyril.
The city council should be leading the movement to building a consensus and not building a wall with the citizens of Circleville. Thank you all for allowing this citizen to speak this evening. Thank you.
Okay.
If you give us your
Ginger
name and your
Wright.
address.
Ginger Wright, 502 Glenmont Drive.
Thank you, Ginger. Go right ahead.
I first want to thank the Charter Commission as well for their time in creating this charter, regardless of one's opinions for or against it. It's not an easy task, so I appreciate their hard work in that. I also would like to remind everyone here that we are still in the United States of America, and this is a free country, and people should be able to speak without being yelled at. That we should be able to speak to the people who represent us. This is aside from what I have written, so I'm willing to yield some time to it. We should be able to speak our minds to the people who represent us, and that's what you do. We should not be intimidated. We should not be yelled at. Our mayor, who we elected, should not be yelled at in these chambers. You work for us. And I think it's time that when we stand and take that pledge, each time we take that pledge, we remember why we're here. Now I'll move further. I'm sorry. Regarding the council, I'm very disappointed that you, as our elected representatives in this city, that you cannot or will not answer the questions that people have, because it is your duty to the community that you serve, as you stated in the last meeting, to legislate. And that is exactly what this charter is. That is one of the many reasons that I am against it from the start. The questions should be answered by someone qualified, not a political action committee. I agree with many in this room tonight that Circleville needs to move on from what it has been and grow into the new generation. But with that said, it's a continuation, not an end of this good old boy mentality that we've been stuck in Circleville. Last year, when citizens voted people in, as you've stated, there were no opponents listed. You said no conflict. Last year when people voted, there was no opponents listed. It's a little hard to vote against someone when there isn't anyone else on the ballot. Then this charter was turned over to the council on April 12th, 2022, but not mailed until July 2nd, giving unregistered voters 1 day to get registered if they wanted to vote in the August election, which there is no reason it couldn't have been placed on the November ballot, except that we know that primaries turn out less voters and less voters pass issues. The booklet that I asked about at the last meeting was made by a political action committee. I'll skip this because the mayor covered that. Additionally, I believe at least 7 of the Charter Commission is either related to each other or council members, which gives the appearance of smelly politics, even if it isn't intended. And it may not have been intended, but it sure smells that way. It is said that no one comes to these meetings or participates in them, and you wonder why, Mr. Duval. Well, I believe by the last meeting where one person was verbally attacked by a council member and another was misled when asked about the funding for the vote for charter booklet, we can see that people have given up. That's the feedback I'm getting from my Facebook page. People have given up. You say you want people to come, then stop meetings like this where we're not allowed to ask questions and limit who speaks. Stop rolling things out the way this charter was rolled out and spend your time talking to citizens. You'll learn a lot talking to your community, and you will see that what they want, not just the people you hang out with, not your friends that are on the commission or the charter. Listen to the people. They will listen, but it doesn't appear that's truly what you want. Comments on the YouTube are turned off. No one watches cable anymore, people. We're streaming. Nobody watches cable. The Herald, while respectable, and I love them, they've been here since I was brought to this, I was born and raised here. And I love the Herald, and I would be sad to see it go away. But there's another source in town where news is also passed, and that's the Scioto Post. Talk more to them. More people see that. It's media. Many watch them on Facebook, while the Circleville Herald remains hidden behind posts on the Facebook page. As for the charter itself, done right and put out slowly, I think it could be good. But experienced writers of law should be the ones who do it, not just one. Legislators, Section 2 through 209, council in staggered terms makes it impossible to vote. That's already been touched on, so I'll pass. Section 3, we pay for votes on legislation, but no mention of price. How much are we?
You have 30 seconds.
Thank you. Effective immediately under Section 3. Under 2, in this section, annual tax levies for expenses. Due to my limited time and to complete time being limited, I can't go into detail. Section 4, the mayor's going to be paid to go out there and wave. Section 5, how much does the city manager make in his salary? That's not addressed in this charter. How about the other 3 or 4 people who are going to be put on there? It also is not
Your time is up.
mentioned. My time is up, Americans, Circlevillians.
Thank you, Ginger.
You're welcome.
Tom Kopek, former member of the 2014-15 Commission and 2020-21 Commission. What we're talking about today is really the past and the future of Circleville. Certainly we're in the present right now. As we look at what the past has been prior to the mayor, we've had 6 one-term mayors. Every time you had changed mayors, you wound up with different administrations, different changes, lost money along the way. Again, there's no skills right now required for a mayor. And again, no offense to Don or the previous mayors, but to be a mayor, you need to be 18, registered voter, and win popular ballot. There's no other requirements in the job. It takes 1 to 2 years. Council people know that along the way. But what can a city manager do? Okay, city manager is hired with these skills in place, come on the job on the first day to be able to run the city, run the operation. The other thing that they do is they come in with economic development skills. And that's exactly what the city's doing. Don has been working on that. But who picks it up? If somebody comes in without skills, everything that Don has done has stops. It flounders for a period of time. So you need someone to come in with those skills. Again, a city manager does that. And again, Don will tell you, first thing when he got involved in this, he was fighting against other city managers from other cities in central Ohio. Again, what skill level is brought in to, again, progress the city? The other question has come up about the 5 mil tax that's in there. And it's not a levy on citizens. What it is goes towards bonds for major construction projects. It's like collateral. Again, if you need money in the future to borrow, and again, those kind of projects would have to come to council for approval first. So it's not just something that you can do automatically. So that's not a tax levy against the city. The other part, though, is how do you pay for the city manager? People said it's so expensive. Well, again, city managers bring in new revenue. And what we see is that revenue coming in and paying for their salaries. And again, people are talking about people are going to lose their jobs. Well, there's the only 2 jobs that we've taken out of the city is the president of council and the auditor and treasurer combined into one position. There are no other positions that are taken out. We need the good people that work in Circleville now, whether it be the fire department, police department, for work on the roads, administration. All those people are still needed. And the commission thought very highly about that point. We still need the people. So again, I guess when you look at what's going on, the facts are important. I understand emotion and fear, and I guess everyone has a chance to do that, but the facts are what's important. And what needs to go forward for Circleville are the facts that presented.
Thank you, Tom. So if you're speaking con towards the charter, there's 5 minutes left. So I don't know if somebody wants to speak for the group or who wants to go next. You? Give us your name and your address.
William Haddix and 531 East Union Street.
Thank you, William. Go right ahead.
And the problem I've had, I usually try to stay pretty educated with what's going on in the community. I've lived here my whole life, as well as my parents. And the day that the charter booklet that's in question was mailed out, my dad had brought it to me and wanted me to look over it. So I did. And he said, ask my opinions. And I said, well, the first question I have is it even legit? There was nothing in there stating that this is from the city of Circleville, or was it another group, or who? We had no idea, the legality of it. So I tried to make some phone calls over the past week, got nowhere. The city council would never answer the phone. The mayor's office was aware of that. They even told me that directly. The website for city council was even down for the biggest part of the week. Couldn't even view anything. So by doing some of my own research on Facebook, I had found the other group that was supposedly part of the charter committee, but the committee officially no longer exists. So I didn't want to submit questions to them, because what legal authority do they have? And how do I know that their answers are anywhere correct, or did they make it up? Or I'm about transparency. My, I don't know if you want to call it a hobby or what, but I run locally, actually, a UFO reporting center, which is pretty fun. But my biggest thing is being transparent. I don't expect anybody to just accept what I tell them that they saw an airplane or whatever it may be. I prove it. I back it up. I talk to other people. If I can't give you an answer for one reason or another, then I will direct you to somebody that can. And if a small little organization like I have can do something like that, I would think the city owes that to the people that live here. If we have questions, and if you can't answer it for legal reasons or conflict of interest or whatever, then point us in a direction. Tell us where we can go get the information so that we know that that is from somebody that has been given the authority legally to answer questions. So at least then we will feel better that we have accurate, real information. I don't want to deal with some PAC group or some random person that just decided to fill the role for whatever reason. That's just seems even more of a conflict. And when people are not getting the answers and things are appearing more and more hidden and less transparency, it makes you wonder, what are they trying to hide? Something just doesn't seem right. We see it in major politics on a daily basis in DC. They hide things, things get passed, they end up being horrible. We're lied to by different people. And it seems like this is just a small town version of all the corruption in DC, and people are tired of it. But when you're tired of something, at least in most cases, you have somebody you can put your grievances toward and say something. In this case, there's been nobody. We've been stuck. So people have had to go out of their way to form groups and try to get citizens some answers. But no matter what anybody has tried to do one way or another, it just seems to be a stalemate. We go nowhere. It's like walking on a treadmill. You can walk all day, but you still end up going nowhere. And that's exactly how a lot of us feel. And when we received the charter as well, and without any notification or anything stating who put it out, where it came from, it looked like the typical election time stuff that all the candidates send out saying, hey, vote for me, and gives all their talking points and things. And you can always recognize that kind of mail immediately when it shows up. Could be governor or whoever. And this looked to be the exact same format, that it was just another group, which we weren't aware of at the time who they may be, but we could just definitely tell that it wasn't the city. Because if it was the city, they always put something out there stating it. Because the cities, no matter where you're at, they're proud of who they are as a city or town. And they want people to know that, hey, this is from us in your best interest. But when it doesn't say anything like that, then you realize it's not in your best interest, it's in the best interest of the people that wrote it. And I think people are just tired of it. We've dealt with it for decades. And
You have 30 seconds.
And now that there's people like Soda Post that have brought a lot more things out and exposed a lot of the stuff that's going on in this town, it appears to not only me, but family and friends that they've been exposed, all this corrupt waste of money, and now they're doing nothing more but try to make it legal. And people's tired of it.
Thank you, William.
Can I just ask a yes or no question?
We'll just let the statements be read.
Okay.
Give us your name and your address.
Hi, Karen Hallinan, 525 Northfield Drive. Tonight, I was asked to speak about the value of having a city manager. But before I talk about the values and the merits of having a city manager, I want to mention that change and growth are coming to Circleville, whether we want it to or not. And it's really just a matter of time. You can see the change and the development and growth firsthand as you drive north up 23 and 104. If you look to your left, you look to the right, there's warehouses, there are housing developments going up all over the place. And that is moving south. Without a charter, we won't have a say, really, much say in where that development is going to go. The state will be able to tell us, you know, we're going to put a warehouse here, and there isn't much we're going to be able to do if we don't have a charter form of government. Now I'll just talk to you a little bit about what value the city manager brings. The city will have a trained professional, as Mr. Kopech told you earlier. It will also provide for continuity of services as your elected officials are voted out. They'll bring some financial skills that some of the mayors that we vote on don't have, and they'll really help the city save some money. The city manager should also be able to help bring in new non-tax revenue to pay for their salary and other needed services for the city. They're going to bring in knowledge and skill to continue the economic development. Right now, currently, Circleville has to compete with all the other city managers to attract business here into Circleville. One last thing, too, if the city manager doesn't do their job, we can get rid of them. You know, with the mayor, if we're not happy with what they're doing or that we're not happy with the economic development, we have to wait for 4 more years in order to make that change. With the city manager, we can do it immediately. One last thought I'd like to leave you with before I move away from the stage is that keeping things the same may be comfortable for some, but it results in stagnation for everyone. By voting yes for the charter, we can all work together in a true spirit of collaboration and make change that moves everyone forward. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. 3 minutes. Go right ahead. Give us your name and your address, please, for the clerk.
Good evening. My name is Helen Maddox, and I live at 416 South Court Street. And I'm here to comment on the city charter and how it will potentially impact the office of the mayor. We've always had an elected mayor who acts as the CEO of the city. The only requirements of a candidate for mayor is that he or she is 18 years of age and a resident of Circleville. The job comes with great responsibility. The person elected must manage a $25 million budget while there is no requirements for economic development skills. Certainly, there is a lot of on-the-job training. As you are all aware, the biggest change we would see should the voters adopt the charter on August 2nd is the form of our government. We would transition to a council manager form of government. From the name of the new form of government, council manager, one might ask what happens to the mayor. The council, the body that represents the people, will gain power as they bring in a skilled professional manager who becomes the CEO of the city. The mayor is still elected to carry on with all the many tasks the mayor performs that keep the government in touch with the people. He or she will continue to act as a liaison between residents and council and/or the city manager. Also, because the mayor is traditionally known by the people and the mayor tends to know the people, he or she is well suited to make appointments to various boards. Under the charter, Circleville's mayor will remain the face of the city and will see to all ceremonial duties. And in the case of an emergency or natural disaster, the state, that is to say the governor, will recognize the mayor, even a ceremonial mayor, as a contact person for purposes of communications. If you'd like to get more information, ask questions, engage in conversation, find us on Facebook at Citizens for Circleville, Ohio Charter, or you may email us at voteyescircleville@gmail.com. Thank you.
Anyone else pro? We're up to 8 minutes for pro comments. No more pro comments? Okay, this will end the public input portion related to the charter.